The complaints are everywhere in the media buying community. It's not just you. Facebook ruined advertising ROAS, return on ad spend, for so many advertisers in 2025. And today I want to talk about why and how the complete model for effective advertising on Facebook has shifted and how this applies across the board for the big advertising networks and what you need to do. There's really just three things you need to focus on if you want to run effective Facebook advertising today. And, as the advisor CMO, this is for financial advisors, but hey, if you're watching this and you're interested in what's really going on with Facebook, this is something that you're going to want to pay attention to. So in 2025, the traditional media buying model got destroyed. The old model was, I'm going to tell you as well as I can who my clients are, who my customers are, and I want you to put my ads in front of those people and see how they respond. And I'm willing to pay this much for you being able to get those people to respond. And, it worked great for a long time, but Facebook, like Google, has way more data on people than we do. They have way more data on who people are, how they behave, what they're interested in, and all of that. And what's happened, especially with the Andromeda update on Facebook and with some of the changes that Google has been rolling out, is that the digital media buying approach has completely transformed. They basically took away your capability to say, here's who my clients are. And they say, our artificial intelligence can look at all the data out there and we can tell you who your clients are, who's going to respond. If you want a specific response, you tell us what that response is, you give us a playground to play on, and we will bring those people to the playground. And the two major ingredients in this are AI, which is taking over a huge chunk of the media buying function that used to be what media buyers had to do for, years and decades into the past across different media. AI is taking over a lot of that. And you also need content. So what the Andromeda update said is, we'll do the media buying with AI. You just, give us a few parameters that we ask you for, and you give us the content, and we'll figure out how to deliver the results that you ask for. So what does AI need? I've said one of the things, it's content, but it also needs data. It needs real data, and it needs time. We'll call it budget too, because the time and budget are directly intertwined. Let's start with data here. So what you need to be doing is you need to be feeding the algorithm as clean and just as ideal of data as possible. And so, historically there was the pixel, and you would put the pixel on your website and it would tell who visited different pages and you could target people based on that. And that was great. It was great. You could even create lookalike audiences of people who visit your website. It's gotten way more sophisticated now. So if you just want traffic to your website, you can say, let's target people who click, right? Or if you want people to sign up, if you want people to request a free report or something like that, a guide, then you can tell it, okay, these people opted in and gave their email address. If you want people to fill out an application, you can tell it who filled out the application. And if you only want to feed back the people who are qualified based on the answers they give on the application, you can tell it who those people are versus the people who aren't qualified, versus you can tell it who booked an appointment, who actually scheduled a call with you, versus within a 90-day attribution window, you can tell it who actually became a client. And then you need to tell it what to optimize for. Now, especially with financial advisors where the volume tends to be much lower, it wants a higher volume, and the AI will do better with a higher volume of conversion events. But if you tell it ultimately, I want a booked appointment with qualified leads as what I'm optimizing for, it's going to focus on that, even if you're feeding it some of this other data. If you tell it and you have enough volume to support it, I want the clients, the people that actually became clients, and you're driving enough traffic for that, it's going to use all those other indicators to say, okay, these people are moving in the right direction. But then it's still going to focus. The AI is going to focus if you give it that data, it's going to focus on finding the people who are most likely to become that. But you have to tell it what to optimize for. So you have to say, I'm going to run a lead campaign, and this is what a lead is identified as. This is what a lead is defined as. I want you to get me as many of those people as possible. And so that's step one. You have to make sure that you're giving it as clean of data as possible. And that's not just through the pixel anymore. It's through conversion API, the CAPI, which is the way that you on the back end can feed back data through your CRM or through Zapier or through different tools and say, okay, this person converted. This person didn't just click through or something that can be identified through the pixel event, but this person actually became a client, or this person booked an appointment, or whatever data you can feed back. The better data you give it, the better AI is going to be able to find you the people that you want to be speaking with. Now, on the other side of this is the content-led targeting. So it needs data, it needs content, it needs time. So the content is your ads, right? But it's no longer just, we're going to try and get one ad to work and we're going to tell it who to put that ad in front of. It is, we're going to give the algorithm a ton of ads. We're going to give the algorithm, the more the better, really. We need volume, like a high volume of different creatives. And it's not necessarily, 50 different videos. It could be 5 different videos times 10 different intros. And if you give it all of that volume, it's going to be able to say, these people are the most likely, the people who engage with this video are the most likely to be the ideal client that go through and that, let's say, fill out the application, become a qualified applicant, and book a discovery call with you. And you have to give it enough volume of content that it's able to go out and compare, okay, which content do people engage with and which content is driving the action that this advertiser is asking for. And there's not many ways around this. What this is requiring is more and more Facebook advertisers are having to generate more and more content because it's going to put all of that content in front of people and it's going to say, okay, what works, what doesn't. And that content also needs to, I say it needs to be quality content, but it's not high production value necessarily, because right now, content that feels more like social content that people just put out there is actually doing very well across industries on Facebook. But it needs to be quality in the sense that it needs to communicate directly to your ideal target avatar, your ideal target audience, your ideal client. And it needs to engage their attention. It needs to grab their attention. It needs to pull that attention in, and it needs to direct them towards the next step in the conversion process, which, is often just making an offer for something that they should click through and go to your website to get. And then AI needs time. The algorithm needs to learn who responds to your ads. The algorithm needs to learn who your people are. And so, by the way, the better you call them out in your content, there's a reason I talk about financial advisors being my clients at the beginning of all of my videos, because I am making sure that the people who are financial advisors, when they engage with the content, they are more likely to stick with the content. So the algorithms are able to recognize, okay, this person is the person who this content is speaking to, and I'm going to find more people like that person, right? So the algorithm needs to learn who responds to your ads, going to learn who watches them, who pays attention to them, who spends more time on them, who clicks on them, who then goes through your conversion process based on that. And the more impressions that you give it, remember, we're talking about time and budget here, the more impressions you give it, the more it will learn. And there's really not many ways around this. It's like a baby that's learning to walk, right? That baby is going to get up and fall down and get up and fall down and get up and fall down, but it is learning every time that it does that. You can't just say, stupid baby, you're never going to learn to walk, right? That baby could go on and become the next Noah Lyles, the next fastest person on earth. Noah Lyles, the sprinter, Olympic sprinter from the US, who's fastest person on earth, he fell down as a baby just like every other baby. And then he got up and he learned to walk, and then he learned to run, and he learned to run and be the fastest person in the world. But His parents could never say like, oh, you're never going to learn to walk or you're never going to learn to run because you fell down as a baby. It would be very short-sighted, I guess, of the parent to say, oh, just because you couldn't walk the first time doesn't mean that you're never going to be able to walk, much less run or be the fastest person in the world, right? And the algorithm is like that. It needs time, it needs budget, and it needs that feedback. It needs to learn. It needs you to give it the data so that it can learn what is working, what is not. And there's a bonus that the more you do of this and the more content that you feed into the system, the better it's going to get at sequencing content. So, not only has this changed media buying dramatically, but it's changed even the structure of campaigns and made them much simpler because you basically say, okay, here's the outcome that I'm trying to optimize for. And here is all this advertising, all this content that I think is going to be super relevant. And the algorithm will start to say, okay, if I show this person this first and this second and this third and this fourth, then that person is most likely to end up becoming, if they've engaged with all of that, that person is most likely to end up becoming a qualified lead for this person and get the outcome that the advertiser is asking for, right? And so the algorithm is not just learning what ad works, but what sequence of content delivered over what intervals is going to be what drives that person to respond. So you could have ads that don't perform very well at all, but if they're step 2 in a 4-ad step-by-step process that gets somebody to go through and become that ideal lead for you, then that ad may by itself not have great performance, but you're going to want to keep running it because it leads to the best outcome. And all of this is happening behind the scenes and honestly with much less visibility than you might be comfortable with. But when you give the algorithm, again, when you give it the data and the content and the time that it needs, it's going to start to learn. It's going to learn to walk and to run and to sprint. And of course, all of this relies on having an effective offer, having an effective conversion system in place such that as you put those ads out there, people have the right places to go so that they can raise their hand, they can express interest, they can get into your conversion system. You can feed that data back into the algorithm. And if you don't have that stuff in place, you do need to build it first. But this is what it's going to take if you want to be successful, getting leads, getting clients, booking appointments, booking discovery calls, all of that on Facebook advertising today, and really with most media buying going forward, because all of this is just going to continue to roll out. It's going to continue to get smarter and smarter. We're going to have to trust the algorithms more and just say, hey, maybe here's some hints about who we think our ideal clients are, and here's what we want you to show to them. And can you go find the people who match what we think and who respond to the content that we put out? And the thing is, the algorithms are going to have to learn for every single person. So they may learn what works for this financial advisor, but when this person puts their content out, it may be a slightly different group. And so the algorithm is going to have to learn for your ads, for your content, for your business, for who you are. And if you're willing to embrace this, I think the future is brighter than ever for advertising on Facebook, advertising on Google, and all your advertising going forward.